Ladies and gents, boys and girls, Douglas and the Gets, it's your man Stack 908 aka the Dig Dug himself. And first, I'd like to say I apologize for not uploading any videos for almost a week, I believe. Truth be told, I was just honestly enjoying the game, raw as that could be. Because when the game first came out, I kind of feel like, yeah, I gotta make a whole bunch of videos. And I would only make a video and only progress in the story alongside each other. I mean, that's still what I was doing. It's just the fact that I told myself, well, let's actually get a bunch of videos recorded, you know, play the game some more, because people look back like that. It's almost a month out into the game and you're not done yet. I'm like, yeah, I know, but so I decided this weekend, or the past couple of days rather, I would just play the game and record a bunch of matches and kind of just continue going from there instead of actually stopping to make a commentary every 10 minutes. But regardless, nonetheless, here we go. Today we're looking at the Azure Rathalos. Now, the Azure Rathalos is a long-standing monster. He's been in these series for quite a long time. His actual introduction was what everyone thought for to just be, you know, I don't know, like just another Rathalos. And truth be told, I mean, it kind of was, but the real interesting thing about the Azure Rathalos is that he actually commands better ability in the skies than the standard counterpart. For example, let me just say that the Azure Rathalos, when you fight him, depending on the area in which you fight him in, the Ancient Forest where I fought him in today, he was exhibiting quite a few aerial feats. I mean, to the point where I was like, wow, it sounds a little, it looks rather a little absurd when you see him actually do some of the things that he does, but first thing you'll probably notice that he does actually command the skies better than the regular Rathalos. Another thing that differs him from the standard Rathalos is the fact that he has great combo potential, meaning a lot of his attacks that he will actually do in lieu of combos, as opposed to just attacking randomly here or attacking randomly there. He will actually lead certain attacks to other attacks, you know, just what a combo system would do. So for instance, he'll do a fireball into a sweep. He'll fireball into sweeping tail swipe, into stomp down, into flight, into jump back fireballs, things like that. You know, it gets really crazy with it, honestly. And outside of the combo system and the fact that he is in the air and just has better air mobility than that of the Rathalos, one of the bigger things that you guys should actually understand is that his homing claw attack that I've coined the Funky Toenail, it does not stun you when he hits you with it. So unlike the Rathalos, whose Funky Toenail, if he does hit you with it, you will get poison and stun, which leads for some very, very bad times. The Azure Rathalos, that does not actually happen. You'll just be poisoned. So that's him kind of giving you a little break, because other than that, I mean, with the combos that he likes to do and the fact that he can fly in the sky a little better, it's a lot harder to actually get your hands on the guy. And to actually really make it a lot easier for you to do so, I recommend, you know, flash bombs, of course. I mean, you can kind of go in here the same way you came here with Rathalos, and by the time you actually come here with the same skills you learned from Rathalos, you'll be a little bit better as a hunter, more familiar with the environment, more familiar with the weapon and things like that. So some of the newer things that I talked to you about just earlier about what differs from him to him, it kind of won't seem too big of a deal. Like, once you see it and once you kind of get hit with a couple of these things, you'll know, okay, it's gonna work like this, it's gonna happen like this, etc. And then you'll just kind of adapt and move on from there. I mean, I'm kind of giving you guys a lot of credit here, thinking that you will adapt to it, but I mean, that's kind of honestly what I did. I mean, I have been hunting for years and years and years, but every iteration of a monster in the game is always a little bit different, especially one like this where literally everything is practically different. So if you need to play a little bit defensive to actually get the hang of how he works, I mean, feel free to do so. I mean, that's what I did. I took a lot of hits in here, took a lot of damage, drank a lot of potions, got really lucky in this particular fight. But I'm pretty sure you could do the same thing. But honestly, when it really comes down to the Azure Rathalos, outside of the particulars that you would pretty much use when fighting Rathalos, it's pretty much the same beast. I mean, I recommend breaking as much as you can so that way you can get as much as you can from the parts, because his parts, you don't necessarily make Azure Rathalos weapons, but you use Azure Rathalos parts to upgrade Rathalos weapons, if you catch my drift there. Granted, the Ruby is the same Rathalos Ruby on both sides, so it'll be a regular Rathalos Ruby, excuse me, for the Rathalos and the Azure. But outside of those things, let's actually look at the gear, because it's not that bad. It's actually pretty decent. A lot of people, a lot of friends of mine, have actually decided that they will be using his particular armor for bow gunning, because that's an amazing skill for bow gunning, and also it has an ability for the gunners, excuse me, not the gunners, but the blade master that we haven't really seen yet. But anyway, looking right off the rip, we have the Rathalos Mastery 2, which is in order to actually have this, you need at least 2 pieces of the Rathalos armor, and we're looking at critical element, which increases the elemental damage, fire, water, etc. when landing critical hits. So that's actually a really nice skill to have, especially since you know, elemental weapons are actually very good in this game. Now, next we have the Rathalos Mastery I'm gonna say the number 2 skill, where you need actually 5 pieces, excuse me, not 5, 4 to actually get this, and we're looking at Mind's Eye and Ballistic. Now, this is the skill I was talking about. Mind's Eye, it's a skill from way back in that used to be called ESP, where it prevents your attacks from being deflected off of monsters' backs and things like that. And then ballistics is for you gunners and everything out there. It actually shortens the distance before ammo and arrows reach maximum power, allowing you to actually, I guess, reach maximum power quicker. Duh. But you don't have to actually, you don't really have to be at a certain extra distance. You can actually probably close the gap to that, so that way you don't have to like be way down the street for you to actually do real damage. So I mean, that's pretty cool. Next, we're looking at Intimidator. Interesting skill, truth be told. I mean, I would probably never use it, but it's still interesting skill nonetheless. Reduces the chance of small monsters will attack after spotting you. So I like to say this is a particular skill I would probably like to run if I'm like gathering or something like that, because usually a lot of times you'll be gathering stuff and then small monsters come out and they're like, rah, and they just beat you up and they cause a lot of annoyance. So I mean, pretty cool skill, I guess. Windproof level 3. This is really cool. Windproof is one of my favorite abilities to have. It's just always one of the harder ones to get, because it's just hard to get. But Windproof level 3 negates minor wind pressure. Now, I think I had a video where I talked about what wind pressure was, and I honestly still don't understand what constitutes minor wind pressure as opposed to major wind pressure, but I'm guessing minor wind pressure might be like if a monster swings its tail and there's a little bit of wind pressure on that, as opposed to whenever a monster takes flight. That's what I'm willing to bet, because I mean it's the only really two differences between wind pressure I can actually think of. So I mean, that's that. Regardless, I would probably, if you can, get to level 5, so that way you just negate it all together. I mean, that's cool. Next, we're looking at Focus. Focus 2, I should say. Now, Focus is an ability that we never really had to use in this game. Usually, Focus is relegated to that of Greatswords to allow them to actually charge their weapons a lot faster. But in this game, it seems that the Greatsword charge doesn't seem to be that long. So, I guess any measure of Focus in this game now is actually very good and probably very strong. So, there you go. Increases the fill rate of weapons with gauges and charge rate for weapons with charge attacks. So, this particular skill will work great with Greatsword, excuse me, almost burped there. Greatsword, switch axe, and this little gauge. Dual blades, longsword, switch axe, greatsword, bows, and hammers, I think. And I think that's it. If there's a little bit more, then I forgive me for forgetting. But yeah, those guys would benefit from it. Increase the gauge. Well, the speeds in which it happens a lot quicker. So I mean, it's not that bad. I like the skill, truth be told. Next, we're looking at Critical Boost. Increases the damage for critical hits. Fair enough, straightforward. You get the drift. And Free Element. It draws out the latent powers within your weapons. If you have a weapon that actually has a latent power, you kind of get these later into the game, a little later in high rank. So you might actually have a couple around now. A very good example is the Raw Iron Path, all the way across. Almost every Iron Path actually has a element to be awakened, be it an ailment or an element. And lastly, we have Piercing Shots. This for you gunners out there. Increase the attack power of Piercing Ammo and Dragon Piercer. So there you go. That's his stuff. And honestly, I will say that his armor, and his armor, his weapons are par for the course. I mean, they're just Rathalos stuff, of course. They're just upgraded. So there's really nothing to really talk about when it comes to his weapons. Just his armor is really what you need to really look into. Now, I know we skipped over the beta of his armor, but truth be told, we all know, we know what it is. Beta is everything but just less. I mean, in this particular case, I think it loses Free Element, and that's like actually about it. So I mean, the armor is fair. I like the armor. It's pretty good, pretty nice, good stuff. You know, good stuff, good armor. And the weapons, of course, you know, the Rathalos stuff. So if you are looking for fire weapons, you don't have a lot of options in this game. You have either Rathalos, Lavisoth, and Agenoth, or Andrew, as I like to refer to him as. And both Lavisoth and Andrew only have not necessarily both, but Lavisoth only has, I think, 3 weapons. And Andrew's weapons actually have a lot of low affinity, whereas Rathalos have high-ish attack, no negative effects to affinity. Some may even have positive affinity and very good element and sharpness as well. So it's kind of, it's whatever. It's a pick your poison kind of nature when it comes to this weapon. So that's about it. But truth be told, I mean, that's really all I can really say about the Azure Rathalos. I mean, if I were to keep going, it'd just be me rehashing everything I said about the regular standard Rathalos. And truth be told, that's pretty much all he is. Outside of the things that I mentioned earlier on, the fact that he has better combos, he has greater air mobility, and his homing claw attack does not poison you. That's pretty much all. That's it. He's a little bit more aggressive, of course, because the subspecies in the game are a little bit more aggressive than their standard counterparts. But that's honestly all I can really tell you guys about. But with that being said, everyone, it's been your boy Dak908, aka the Dig Dug himself, and that's the video. Hopefully you found this video relatively informative. If you didn't, you know, let me know. If you did, let me know as well. I need to know these things so I know where to go when I make these videos, of course. Now, the next monster we'll be fighting will be the Nergigante. Either the Nergigante or the Black Diablos. I need to figure out where in which these monsters lie. because I'm pretty sure that you can fight Black Diablos before Nergigante. But if that's the case, we'll do Black Diablos first, then do Nergigante. I actually haven't recorded Black Diablos footage yet, but if we do get to if I do get that figured out, we will do Black Diablos and then Nergigante. But yes, with that being said, everyone, it's been your boy Dak908, aka the Dig Dug himself. Thank you so much for supporting your mans throughout all these years and through these videos and through this series. Hopefully the Desire Center is in your favor, unlike it is in mine, and you get everything you'd like. Take care.